I wanted to show you how multi-region namespaces look in action and what are the steps that are required to configure MRN in your ecosystem. So let's get started. So what you're seeing on screen on the left-hand side is the Temporal Web UI that provides users with access to all the workflow execution status, metadata that is associated with the namespaces, and all the administrative tools that are required for providing privileges for your users. It's a central interface for managing all your namespaces, right? So to find the namespaces, you have a section dedicated on the left-hand side panel for namespaces. Once you click on that, you will have at your disposal the list of all namespaces in this particular account. And then you can switch between, you can go into a particular namespace by filtering down with a particular name that you have in your mind. And once you get into that particular namespace, you have a logical view of all the activities, queries, signals, timers, and workflows that are inside this namespace. You'll see that this is only deployed in one region, and the retention period is 30 days, and other insights that you can have from the namespace. There's also gRPC endpoint. The nomenclature of this is interesting, right? It has a namespace ID. It also has an account ID and a temporal domain. As Nikita explained, right, like MRN creates a single logical namespace across two physical regions. One is active and one is standby. When you create workflows inside an active region, and as workflows progress within that active region, right, history events are asynchronously replicated to a standby region when MRN is enabled, ensuring that there is continuity and data integrity. And how do you even create, manage, and enable all these MRN features? It's pretty simple. Temporal gives you an opportunity to create and manage MRNs using Temporal Web UI, command line interface, also CloudOps API. One thing to note is only global admins and namespace admins can create MRN, upgrade an existing MRN, or trigger an MRN failover. Now let's create a namespace across two regions, which will instantly make that namespace an MRN. It's pretty simple. You click on the create namespace, give name to that namespace, pick a region of your choice, and then you add a region instantly in this particular screen itself, making this namespace MRN. When you're doing that, you will have this amazing feature of showing you the SLA that is provided for you with adding this standby region, and then how replication works and what is the consumption cost that is going to be associated with it. When you click add region, and then you'll have the ability to pick a region. As you may know, we need MTLS certificate for a secure way of communicating between your workers and servers. So you need to get the certificate for and then paste that certificate here. You can set up advanced features like codex server and whatnot, and then click on create namespace. This is going to take a bit of time, not much, but once a namespace is created, you'll see that it is instantly deployed across two regions. Voila. It is as simple as that. Now, there's another way to create an MRN, which is upgrading your existing single region namespace to a multi-region functionality. You can do that upgrade from this interface itself, or you can add a region from the command line interface. Let's pick a namespace that has only one region, for example. Let's say this one, which has like a 2-day retention, and it is currently only on one region. You can add a region here. When you're adding a region to an existing single region namespace, you will see that an estimated time of replication is presented to you. This time is based on the selection you made, the scale of the workflows that are present within the namespace, and other things like that. So now you pick a region of your choice, and then you click add region. And an email alert will also be sent once your multi-region namespace is ready for use. As you can see, This is already in action. There's an estimated time given to you. After this stipulated time, you can check back on the UI or via the CLI the status of this particular namespace, and you'll see that it is deployed across 2 regional namespaces. Now, 2 regions. Now, getting to the operational side of failovers, right? Temporal is responsible for detecting and triggering a failover for a multi-regional namespace in the event of a regional outage or a disaster. Users can also trigger a failover during an outage of a non-temporal controlled regional downstream dependency or for testing purposes. And when a failover happens, there will be an operational shift, right? Of all the workflows that are processing in the active region will be moved to standby region, ensuring that the existing workflows can still progress and new workflows can be created as the instance is being addressed. I want to show you how that can be done using a CLI command. Um, Now let's pick a namespace that we just deployed across 2 regions, which is MRN 4, right? I want to show you how failover can be triggered via CLI. Now, right now, the active is EU West 1. I want to failover this to EU West 2 using command line. The command is very simple. You just have to write tcld namespace failover and then give the namespace ID here, and make sure that you give the target region source, target region exactly the way it is in the code that is given to this particular region in the right way. Once you do this, you'll be asked a couple of questions. You answer those, and then voila, the failover is started and it is in progress. After a couple of seconds, you can check back on the UI. And now if you refresh this UI, you'll see that the failover is already in progress. You can check back to this periodically and see where the status of this failover is. That's one way to do it. Another way, the primary use case for this MRN is to make sure that you have workloads that are ongoing and your business continuity is not interrupted. For this particular case, right, I picked a trivia game as an application to show off how this can be done. This trivia game is a fun interactive game that is built by our solution architects team to demo the features of Temporal, like long-running workflows, long polling, continuous new state machines, and all the awesome features of Temporal we have that are utilized while building this demo. And then this particular demo that you're seeing on the right side of the screen, it utilizes 2 workflows. One is to orchestrate the game itself and then maintain the state of the game, and the other workflow is to add a player to the game. There's a simulator that will load the defaults and run the game, and each player will answer the questions randomly, and the game progress will be shown to you on the screen. And players will get 2 points, just like the real world trivia game, for being the first to answer, and then you get 1 more point for getting the right answer, but not being the first also. After all of this is done, the final scores will be revealed after the game is complete. It's a simulation of the trivia game. So in the interest of time, I've created a lot of games for us ahead of time. And then as you can see, I added multiple players here. Let me show you. There are 11 players playing the game currently. And then these are single player games that I'm showing for you. And if you head to the namespaces, that is associated with this particular game, that is this. Um, and then go to the workflows, you will see that there are multiple workflows that are continuously running that are orchestrating this particular game. Once I wanted to show you that in this particular game that I'm playing, you see that the DNS of this particular namespace is shown on the right top right corner, which exactly is in sync with this namespace's primary or active region, so which is US West 2, which is the same as the one that you're seeing here. Once you trigger the failover, we will see that this will change from US West 2 to US East 1. I'm going to do that right now. Click that trigger failover button, and it will give you a pop-up of saying, are you sure you want to do that? And then you can click failover. And once this is happening, you will see that there will be a slight disconnect or as the games are progressing, you will see uh, you'll see that there will be a slight amount of disconnect happening between the console and also the temporal service, but the replication is still in progress, and then there will be within no time you'll see the DNS get updated to US East 1. Now, while this is happening, right, I also want to tell you that one interesting feature here, which is a replication lag, that refers to the transmission delay of workflow updates and the history events from the active region to the standby region. When a force failover like this happens, and also when there's a large replication gap, you might want to be very careful. And then because the higher the likelihood of having a replication lag, there will be a huge likelihood of rolling back of your workflow progress. So it is a best practice to always check the replication lag before initiating a failover. And Temporal Cloud, conveniently, it gives you 3 replication lag specific metrics, like replication count, replication uh, uh, sum of the replication across these, and then you have one more replication metric that will help you create a histogram, and I'm going to show you in a bit how to do that. So as you can see, the DNS is now updated from US West to US East 1. So the experience has been really seamless. The UI is updated. The front-end services has not even experienced a blip. There is a DNS update for you. While the failover is still in progress, I wanted to touch upon a bit upon the replication lag that I just mentioned. The failover is now done. The way you can monitor or observe these failover events is one is to set up an audit log, which will help you stream all these events from the temporal service into your Kinesis stream. And then you will have the ability to look at the logs where the operation is called as failed over namespace. In order to how you do that is get into settings, get into the integration section. You'll have something called as audit logging here. You will have to create, as you can see, I created MR Kinesis names data stream here, and also the IAM and the region has to match with the Kinesis's region. And then once you have this in your Kinesis web view, you can look at the data viewer, and all these logs has to show that the failover is initiated and finished successfully. One more way to monitor your MRN failover is to check the metrics that I mentioned. One way to set up a metrics dashboard is using Grafana. As you can see, I've already pre-built a dashboard for you here. And then there are these external metrics that I wanted to use. And the namespace I'm using is the one that I was showing here, like the trivia one, this one. So I have selected that as my particular namespace I wanted to check. And there is this query that I ran in order to count the replication lag that has been happening while the workflows are being replicated from one region to another region. As you can see, there is a huge bump that has happened. There are like technically 13 workflows that are being replicated. So there is a decent amount of lag that you can see here. You can run the query and you'll see that whenever that happens, this is decent, but if there is a huge enough replication gap, you might want to make sure that failovers are monitored and you take careful steps when you're doing it. Now, moving on to the routing side of the house, when you have a private link involved in this, you have networking that needs more careful attention. And the way that it works is that a regional DNS needs to be reached through the IP addresses that are local to your network, right? When a private link is involved. And then the way you do that in regional for this regional DNS is that it's pretty simple. When you're using DNS, when you're using AWS, you use Route 53 for routing and linking the private zone to the VPC where your workers are running, and you will have when your workers connect to the namespace, they will first resolve to this particular like namespace dot account ID dot domain endpoint, and then what happens is that which will trigger which will then target when the workers are connecting to this endpoint, and that endpoint will target the active region dot the one that you saw on the screen for the trivial one. This is the particular DNS that will be targeted. And then what happens is that when a failover is triggered, the way it is configured within our ecosystem is that it will be directed to a regional DNS. Thankfully, because uh, because even if that particular active region is down, you will now have a requests that are routed to this sub zone for region the temporal domain. And you can override that regional DNS and make sure that the traffic is internally routed properly. Using when you're in AWS, you can do that very quickly, easily with DNS. To set up that DNS override, you can use specific regions to target the relevant IP addresses in your VPC. I wanted to show you how to do that. So I have a particular namespace here that has a private link enabled. As you can see, there is a particular endpoint that is provided to us. And then I'm going to head to the AWS and then show you that how to set up a hosted zone in order to set up that CNAME mapping to the subzone domain mapping, so that you have all the traffic that will reach to the region will be your internal IP addresses will now be able to reach this particular domain when a failover is occurring. So in this case, you create a hosted zone, you give a name, and then in the value section, it's going to be a private hosted zone, and you're going to pick a region and also VPC of your choice. So in the interest of time, I actually created one for us, so which is this one. So it talks about like how to, it's a CNAME record, and the region, the value, the routing that has to happen is with this domain and the region, right? And then it will pick the standby region based on the selection you made on the screen, and then the automatic traffic routing will happen for you. So you just create record, pick a domain, which is, as I mentioned, just give a name. And then now in this value, you give that the temporal domain, and then you set up this as a CNAME. That's it. You will now be able to route all your requests that are coming through private links, relevant IP addresses that are routed to this particular subzone, and then everything will be transparent from there forward. And this is pretty much what I wanted to cover, and hopefully that has been useful for you. And thank you so much for this opportunity. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.